You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
Exhaust me.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And welcome to Complete and Utter Chaos.
The lizard's here.
Say hi, Noni. Say hello.
She doesn't want to.
Say hi. Okay, come with Mama.
She's a very private lizard.
What's the lizard gonna do?
Hey,
It's gonna crawl over here. It's no big deal.
Noni.
Okay, she's out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 91 Reasons. I am your host, Jeff. I am joined by most of the Tucker family here.
Including the
The
lizard.
lizard was here. Luna was here on the phone, so we got all the information from Luna over the phone. We're going to be doing.
Just want to make sure she gets it.
You
okay.
just can't.
I'll be right there. I'm there.
You
Look
pestered me about doing the show, and
I'm
now you're
right
not even
there.
doing the show.
I'm right there. Do you see me?
It's a doll.
My doll is a stand-in.
Doll.
I am in charge of the room. If I am not here, the doll is in charge. If for some reason the doll is with me, then the lamp is in
Hey,
charge.
one of the doll's shoes is on the couch. She's missing a
Let's
shoe.
everyone.
It's like Cinderella.
Why are we here today, Dad?
We're here to talk about what was supposed to be our top 10 Comic-Con moments, but has morphed into some top 10 honorable mentions and Austin's personal list of Comic-Con moments.
Because Austin doesn't want to be on our list.
No,
But
I had a problem.
Austin celebrated Comic-Con alone.
we're
Okay,
doing our
To
list.
be fair,
first.
now, Vital, you growing up were with the family a lot because you were the youngest one. And many Comic Cons, me and Luna would split up and do our own things. So a lot of these top 10s, I was never here for. I could look down the list. I'm not here for most of these events.
He's lying, but it's fine. Let's talk about it. Let's
Okay.
just talk about
So
it.
Rachel and I started going to Comic-Con in the 90s. This is back when you could go, hey, you want to go to Comic-Con today? You would drive there, buy a ticket, and go in. Or one year we even volunteered for 2 hours, and the rest of the day was
We
free.
guarded very important artwork.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, but it was free ticket.
We got to go into the con after.
But that was very astute and smart of us because that allowed us to get on the list
Yeah.
when Comic-Con finally sold out in the 2009 and 10 years because of Twilight. We were already in the system, and once you're in the system, you can keep in the system if you stay going currently every year. So, which is what we did, and we were able to. The kids were able to go every year almost of their
entire
lives
childhood.
Yep.
until they both decided together that we don't. wanna
Yeah,
go to
I
Comic-Con
actually,
anymore.
I'm thinking off the top of my head, I think it's been about 5 years since I've gone to Comic Con.
I for one still love Comic-Con. We went just like the last time that we could, which was 2019.
Yeah, you went the last time alone. Which
And
is,
that was because I'm finally getting to the age I think where I can really appreciate it. Not that I didn't appreciate it as a kid, but it didn't mean anything to me really until I was like 12.
you didn't realize how cool it was.
And
what
then
you were
once I
doing.
was like 12, I started really liking going. And then this funny little thing happened. And now I'm 16, so I'd really like to go again. But we're gonna do our top 10 Comic-Con moments. Ours, not Austin's.
I've been going to Comic Cons ever since I was born. I remember fondly the Long Beach Comic Con. We had a lot of fun at. I have fond memories of Long Beach Comic Con.
But the Comic-Con we're referring to is San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, I'm just saying. in
yeah,
general.
San Diego, the big one.
As well.
What's he doing?
I'm talking. As well as Star Wars Celebration, which I went at 7. I had an amazing time. Probably one of the happiest days of my life. Star Wars Celebration. So,
Are we going to start at 10 work up to the
Yeah,
best?
well, we have to work out. That's how.
But what
top
about
10
our
lists
mentions?
work.
Do those
Honorable
work again?
mentions go.
We'll put them in.
but
Oh,
if
that's
I
how
could
this
finish,
works.
San Diego was always kind of the.
If I could finish.
San Diego was always kind of the big one, the Titan, the big 5-day extravaganza. So,
I, for
yeah,
one, love
Comic-Con was
WonderCon.
always a marathon. And, Mom, you'll have many, many memories of every birthday in the 2000s, me telling you that I didn't want anything for my birthday but a $50 bill. at
Yeah,
Comic-Con.
everybody would bring you money. You
Yeah.
had so much money to go to Comic-Con.
Because I would go to Comic-Con with a big wad of cash and just
Yep.
spend it all on dumb stuff that I probably needed.
All right, let's get started with our list. Coming in at number 10, we have every single Hilton burger. This takes some context for those of you who...
Explain, please.
I
yours.
fought for this to go on the
This
list.
is yours.
I don't have the best memory. In fact, a lot of anything pre about 12 or 13 years old, I have no idea. But what I do know is that my most iconic memory of Comic-Con is that every single time I complained just enough that we finally gave in to go eat lunch, because I always wanted to go eat lunch.
You want to eat lunch the second we got out of the car at 9 a.m.
I always want lunch. I still do that.
I would bring like crackers or M&Ms or snacks to try to sneak you in the con. You drove me crazy. So
And we spent a lot of years walking up and down the streets trying to find chicken strips, which they don't have in the gas.
Nope.
The gas lamp quarter? Is that what it's
Gas
called?
lamp.
Arguing with restaurants why they don't have any children's options. Where was the only place we found chicken strips? Hooters.
Yeah, I remember going
That
there.
was it.
Yeah.
Hooters.
You didn't like going there. Remember?
What's the Dick's place? Dick's Last Resort.
I hate that
yelling at you
place.
the whole time
Yeah.
you're eating. It's so annoying.
And then we found the secret, which is what?
The Hilton burgers. So
How
if
many
I
years do you
remember,
think we did it?
it is every year I can remember going to Comic-Con, personally.
It was the best deal. Food down there was not cheap when you're a family of 5 and you're young and you don't make a lot of money and you're feeding
Comic-Con
this
to
family.
me feels like sitting on that. It was all outside, so you were sitting on this like the curb on the side of the street, and people are walking by, and there's booths set up outside, and those people are screaming about abortion always.
People are in costumes. There's protesters.
And you're sitting there, and you've got wrapped in like tin foil almost. Aluminum foil is the best burger you've ever had in your life.
It was the
and
best
a can
deal
of
down
Coke.
there.
It's the same burger they sell inside for $15, $20.
At the restaurant.
But it's what? Was it $5 or $10?
They were
It was
$5.
cheap, yeah.
They were $5. And then you would get a can of Coke and occasionally a bag of chips and a brownie.
And a brownie or a cookie at the end, yeah.
Oh
And
my
I think-
god.
I
I can
think-
taste it right now.
I think
I can taste it right now.
Your memories are coming from the fact that on a 5-day Comic-Con run, you would have that lunch
Every single
5
day.
days.
It was my thing. It was Comic-Con to me.
Well, one, you were
was the
picky.
Hilton
So
burger.
even if we had the money to go in at like Spaghetti Factory or one of the fancy restaurants down there, you threw a fit that you weren't going to eat it.
No.
And then I had a kid who would not eat. I couldn't eat food in front of a kid who hadn't ate all day. So my mission was to find somewhere you'd eat, and they got to know us. Like, they
Hilton burger.
remembered us
Yeah.
each year.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you guys are back this year. I'm like, you are saving us. The cheapest hamburger in San Diego.
So I think I genuinely missed the Hilton burgers whenever we went home.
Hilton burger.
They tasted incredible. They are Comic-Con to me.
I just
Comic-Con to me
remember-
is the Hilton burger.
But see, Comic-Con's this big long day, and going to get lunch and then Starbucks is what, an hour and a half
Yeah.
out of the day just to do that. But if you try to eat in the convention, you
No
might
way.
save a little time, but
So
you're going to pay
expensive.
$17
And
for a
there's no
hot dog.
seats. Every table's taken. No.
But sitting on the floor, sitting on that curb, and everyone's yelling, and
There's
there's
people
so much
watching.
noise, and
Yeah.
everyone's walking by.
Yeah.
You've got I
I'm-
can't even express it to you. It is the best tasting burger I've ever had in my entire life.
Watching all the locals mad because all of us Comic-Con people are there.
Yeah.
That is Comic-Con to me. It deserves to be on that list.
Okay, honorable
Good
mention.
memory, good memory.
Honorable mention, we're gonna start, we're gonna go down the list.
Austin's platoon
No,
costume.
no, hold on.
Oh no.
This is all on Austin's list.
Oh.
We will get there. This
Yes.
is Austin stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Why
that was
don't
honorable
you
mention.
get out everything you need to get out, and then
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Austin goes after we finish our
yeah,
list.
I'm okay with that. I'll be over here.
Our first honorable mention is one I have no memory of, so someone else will talk, is the Kevin Smith running us over.
No.
Yes. Oh, I was big to Luna for some reason. So Kevin Smith was always at the hotel next door. He'd always go back and forth from the convention to the hotel right next door. And he didn't want to walk because he'd be mobbed by people. So they took him around on a little golf cart all the time. And we'd always see him and we'd yell out to him. But there was one time when he was coming back, they were trying to evade all these people trying to meet him. And we were walking, and he totally almost hit Luna. Like, he totally almost hit us with a... We're like, thanks, Kevin! But Luna, for some reason, was like, remember the time I was ran over by Kevin? Yeah.
He was going 37 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was a good one, babe.
Okay, number 9 on our list, everything Morgan Spurlock.
Do people even know who Morgan Spurlock is
Of course
anymore?
they
He's
do.
the guy from the Super Size Me.
He's moderately famous,
He's from Super Size Me.
but he canceled himself.
He did.
He Me Too'd himself.
Yeah, he did.
But Morgan Spurlock decided to make a Comic-Con documentary.
Yes.
Now, they solicited entries for fans to be part of the documentary, so we
We
put
went.
in for it. We didn't make it. But we knew that year he was going to film. So
Yes.
there were
We were
certain
all done
spots
up.
you
Let's
could go
talk
to.
about what we're wearing. And
Yeah,
everything.
we were all dressed in costume. You were
Wally, Snow White, the Toy Story bear.
Lotso.
And Luna was Karate Kid. And I'm not just saying we kind of look like them. We nailed it. Like the Snow White was a Snow White they used in the Hanging at Knots. I borrowed the costume. Like they were, oh my God.
So we met Morgan Spurlock, and Rachel would cry every time she met him. So he got to know you as the lady who cries all the time.
Much. It was the line at Starbucks and just walking through the hotel lobby at that event. Like we saw Morgan Spurlock at the table on the floor. We saw him a lot.
And what that morphed into is they did the movie, which we were not part of, but the next year at Comic-Con, they had Sideshow released a book of the Comic-Con fans.
Beautiful coffee table.
And writers, a full page in it.
We should have had it out. Why did we not have it out?
So they had a book signing.
Where's it at?
Who knows where it's at in
It's
this
somewhere.
house.
It's just a picture of me in Robin costume.
It's
right
huge.
behind you, Dad. Right
It's worth
behind you.
all look for while you tell another story. It's
there's
worth
two
showing.
copies. Nope, that's not the deluxe edition, right?
The one that she's all over.
Okay,
So
those
this
two.
is the Comic-Con
I don't know which one that is.
Oh my goodness.
There were two
coffee
on the
table
back.
book. Well, this
There
is the
were
one
two.
where she's on the back. There's a little baby writer making a Robin face. Okay, while you guys are talking, I'll find you inside.
All right, okay, let's keep going, please.
But we
No,
got
we're
in
not
line to
telling the
meet Morgan Spurlock and have him sign one of these books. And when everybody found out you were in the book, they wanted you to sign the
She had a
book.
line, and she was how old? Like
Four.
her, she was still Josie then, so she was writing the J backwards. So everyone's like, I have the rare version, the backwards J. I'm like, oh my gosh.
They even had out buttons that said, I'm in, and then the name of the book.
I'm in the book, and you had one and wore it, and everyone would be like, oh my God, I recognize you from the book. Still looking for
Do
you.
an honorable mention.
We'll just move on to some of these, so because we can't do some of them because Mom's looking for something. So, me yelling at the Hasbro booth.
Further back
I don't know
now.
when this will come out in relation to
found
the
it.
Littlest Pet Shop video.
And show real quick.
Yeah.
So, big coffee table book, not just like shared page. Look at that. Do you see her in her stroller? Little Robin. She was so sweet. Oh my
All right.
goodness.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Okay. All right.
Pick
If
up
I'm
a
not-
copy.
Okay. All right. So I don't know when this video is coming out in relation to the Littlest Pet Shop video, but I touched on it a little bit. Littlest Pet Shop's for this toy that I was obsessed with. It was my entire life, and then Hasbro slowly started like changing the designs and making them look really stupid and making them really cheap. And so Hasbro has a booth at Comic-Con every year, and this is from stories because I have no memory of doing this whatsoever. But apparently, I went up to the booth and I asked for the person who was like in charge of Littlest Pet Shop, and then I like let him have it.
Yeah, you
So cute.
unloaded on the guy, and he said, I'm going to let the brand manager of Littlest Pet Shop know what you had to say. And you were just not happy with that answer.
You wanted change and you wanted it that day.
Yeah.
But it was the year that the Hub debuted, so the Pet Shop
Had the
toys
weird eyes
all
and-
made them look like the cartoon characters.
You
They
didn't
couldn't
like it.
stand up. They had little
They
spindly
were
legs.
so bad.
They were
You
lame.
told them what you thought of their new toy.
Yeah, so
All
that
right.
was that. Number 8 is Luna's arm getting hurt during the Stranger Things contest and also the Stranger Things walkthrough. So there was a contest. It was like a scavenger hunt thing where like they had hidden VHS Stranger Things official VHS tapes around the convention, and then you had to go and find them. And Luna, I guess, had seen it in the bush.
He tried every day. The first 2 or 3 days, he kept
Yeah.
trying.
Luna wanted to
them.
find it really bad.
And he got close on one day. That's the bush day, where he reached in his hand and scraped it all up from rose
There
petals.
was a giant rose
Yeah.
petal, but it was in the bush.
Yeah, but someone grabbed that one. He didn't get it that day.
They didn't get it that
He got
day.
it the last day. He found one.
But
That's what he said. He got injured. He didn't even get it.
It was a contest from Rotten Rentals, and it was on Twitter when nobody was on Twitter.
Rotten Reynolds.
Very few people were on Twitter.
It was legit a VHS
So they would
tape
announce
box.
where the person was gonna be, or actually where they'd hidden it.
Yeah.
And at one point it was in a bush, and Luna took off running and came back all bloodied and said,
I didn't
I
get
had
it.
my hands on it and somebody else got to it before me.
I do remember that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a huge scavenger hunt. It was a big deal.
Came with the mini
So
poster.
a few hours later, or was it the next day?
It was the next day.
The next day, they were doing it in the convention center at a certain table, and Luna just kept strolling and refreshing, and one moment just said, I gotta go, and took off
back with
running,
this.
Yeah.
and then came back with,
The letter inside
box.
says, Stranger Things. We still haven't found Will Byers, but you found a limited edition Stranger Things rotten VHS pack with vintage goodies. Share your loot with us by taking a picture that you found it. And then inside was all of this.
Tons of stuff in it.
Tons of stuff.
I think that's seriously cool. That whole story is seriously cool.
I mean, there's buttons or
definitely belongs on the
stickers.
list.
Yeah, they put up missing children
So much stuff in
posters
here.
everywhere, inviting you to follow on them on Twitter and join the hunt to find Will. So
I think
Luna won.
it perfectly
won.
encapsulates what
But we have
Comic-Con
it,
was,
Luna.
which was
He doesn't
crazy things and social media combining with the convention experience and making this huge, big experience. It wasn't just about
So
going
much
and
to do
buying
outside of the con.
comics at the
Yeah.
convention. It was you were on
Pop-up
this mission
experiences.
to join the worlds that you were obsessed
Yes,
with.
whatever
That's why
fandom
it's
because
you
so
were a
cool.
part of.
There was also an event where Luna and I went in and had to solve a murder
The Dexter
from the Dexter
experience?
TV show.
Yes.
And we got to see a crime scene
And then
and,
they always
blood
gave cool
and
things after, so you only got that bobblehead or that button or that T-shirt
yeah.
if you went to that experience. So those would be the ones that would sell on eBay like crazy and people would want because you put the work in to earn to get that item. The Tron had arcade tokens.
Yeah.
Like everything we did always had a payoff at the end. So it was really
The
cool.
other part of this one is the Stranger Things huge walkthrough experience
Pop-up
that we did at
experience.
Comic
They were
Con.
all over.
That was insanely cool. There was a big convention center, and then if you went out, there was like 100 things to do outside of the convention center.
They
And
were
one of them-
sometimes better than the convention.
One of them was the Stranger Things walkthrough experience that we waited in
You
line.
had to stand in line for hours. Like you were there 5 days.
Yeah.
So there was going to be a couple days you were not going to see Comic-Con
No,
or the
you just
floor.
were gonna go
you
to
were
that
just
line.
gonna. You said this is what I'm into, and this is the pop-up. I'm going to give my 8 hours to
And
you
we
there.
liked Stranger Things
And we gave our time for that
a
one.
lot.
Yeah.
So
but it was really cool once
Oh,
you
it
get in
was
there.
so, especially considering this was so early in the Stranger Things days
Yes.
that this was before pop-up Stranger Things events happened everywhere. You
it
know,
was still new.
it-
Now pop-ups are.
now Stranger
My
Things,
doll
is,
people
you can
have
go
one. Like,
anywhere and you can experience
Yeah.
pop-ups and you can go to Hot Topic to find Stranger Things merch. But this was so new
Yeah.
that this was the only place
and you
that
walked into the movie like you were in their front row.
They had their bikes.
You were sitting
they
on
had
their
Joyce
bikes. You got
Byers'
to sit on
front
it. You
room.
got
They had
to-
the huge Barb
Yeah.
shrine. They had every single Will Missing poster. It was the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
It
and
was the
then-
coolest thing ever.
And then you get something different at the end. Everybody got something
Everyone got
different.
something else.
It was
Yeah.
a random what you got. I don't even remember what we got that year.
I think it was. Wasn't it a candle?
No.
Was it a barb candle?
I think we
There
got
was
a
a barb
barb
candle. I remember socks.
There was a bright T-shirt.
I
There was all
remember that there was a
kinds of fun
T-shirt.
things.
They were. It was just that was such a cool thing to do.
Yes.
Another Stranger Things stories. We saw the kids out the window.
They
That
were
was
there
really
and they
cool.
were waving from the hotel. though.
Okay, moving on. Honorable mention. We're gonna talk. Meeting all of the Stranger Things, seeing the Stranger Things kids, that was a great experience. You know, we meet celebrities that we really find cool, and then you meet celebrities that really aren't cool, like the honorable mention Felicia Day story.
Felicia Day
Sorry,
from
Felicia Day.
Was it The Guild? Is that her show?
I don't know.
And then Dr. Horrible.
Dr. Horrible is how
Which
I know
we
Felicia
love. That's
Day.
why
And
my kids were obsessed with
I have
her.
a knack for spotting celebrities very quickly, and I said,
Because it was at the end of the day.
I said, Felicia Day's right in front of us.
Walking
And
down the street.
She started walking a little faster.
She just wanted away from
And
us.
we tried to stop her for a picture or something, and
My
she was
mama
like,
bear came out.
not
If
having
kids want
it.
to meet someone, dang it, you're going to meet
and then
my
we
kids.
mentioned to her, you know, there's children here, and she got all.
Well, she left. She was like, no. And then she started going faster. And then she looked back and she said, you have kids. I'm like, yes, I have kids who worship you. And then she was like, well, you have kids. I can't say no. I'm like, well, your decision, lady. So she stopped and took pictures. We should really look for all the photos we're talking about. That every story here has a photo. It's on Facebook because that would be where the last time I post all these pictures. But
Poor Felicia Day. We caught her
yeah,
at a
it
bad
was a
time.
bad time.
We caught her at a bad
you know,
time.
she felt for the kids, which is why she came through at the end. But she was a little ugly getting there.
We showed her the light.
We showed her.
Number 7 we're on our list now, which is everything Andrew has seen Homestuck, including meeting Clark Gregg, which sounds like it's not related to Homestuck, but it is.
So 1 year across the way, the same place they had the Stranger
Stranger
Things, it was turned into, was it Shifty Lock?
Shifty Look.
Shifty
Look, a company that's not even in business anymore.
They were a subsidiary of Namco Bandai when
Yeah.
they were trying to get into the webcomics scene. That
So
was big in the
Namco put out a
2010s.
video game called
Namco High.
Namco High, where
It
all the
was-
video game characters went to school.
I think it was a pay-by-character chapter interactive webcomic.
So they had a free signing with Andrew Hussey. Of course, we had to go because
Our
all
kids
three
were
kids at one point
obsessed.
were into Andrew Hussey. And we got all these signatures, and there was free video games.
That was
met the
another
guy,
all-day line.
We met Andrew Hussey.
Yeah.
And then you ended up meeting somebody on
And
the
then
sideline.
in line to meet Andrew Hussey, we were standing in line, and then was it you who had pointed out who was in front of us, or someone
I
pointed
think it was
out?
Luna.
Luna
yeah.
just goes, "That's Agent Coulson
Yeah.
from the Avengers, who was waiting in line to not with anyone. He specifically wanted to meet Andrew Hussey.
Yeah, he had a stack of Homestuck books he wanted signed. I think you mentioned his daughter.
Yeah,
Like
his
that.
daughter.
Yeah.
He has a daughter named
Well,
Stella.
what's funny is when he got up to the stage, the manager who was there was like, Mr. Gregg, right this way. He seated him next to Hussey, and at that time, the company, I'm going to pronounce it correctly, We Love Fine,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were fine.
they brought out all the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. t-shirts. So it was like a double signing
Was it-
then.
yeah.
Oh.
He instantly
Well,
started
because
signing shirts and selling
this
them.
was when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really
Oh yeah, this was
took off.
2013. It was
Yeah.
the big year.
So he just wanted to meet Andrew. Ooh,
Yeah,
Pretty,
John.
pretty cool though that he got up on stage and
yeah,
started signing stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
He was
Good
a
old
nice dude.
Clark Gregg is cool.
Yeah.
Moving on. Next honorable mention is the Snoopy Car.
Yeah, one year at work, I asked if I could take the Snoopy Car and promote Knott's while I was there, and they let me
Because
drive
we
the
had a table
car.
that year, right? Knox did.
No, the year
That
with the
wasn't the
table,
year?
Tim drove the Snoopy Car.
Really?
We just drove the car there and back.
Oh.
It was
so many years and all gets mixed
what
together.
kind of car was that, Austin?
I have no idea.
The little
Kia
box
Kia
car.
Soul.
It was a Scion, right?
Scion.
This was when I was so little. I have no memory.
It had
of
a
this story.
sculpted
Giant
Snoopy on the
Snoopy.
top,
Like 6 foot Snoopy on top of our
and
car.
that was the year that there was a traffic jam after a truck full of meat caught on fire.
like a 6 hour.
And it took us 6 hours to go. It normally takes about 2. We have that video online too.
It's a good one. You have to watch that video.
I
Look it
have
up.
no memory.
Stuck
of
in a
this.
traffic jam.
Stuck in
But
a traffic jam. Look that
what
up.
Rachel says is true in the video. When you're in a Snoopy car, people will let you just move back and forth however you want because they like the car so much.
Plus, we were stopped. We weren't moving slow. We were stopped.
We were stopped for an hour at a time.
So it was basically everyone just walking around the freeway getting, because we were all going to Comic-Con. So you just got to meet everybody dressed in costumes and talking about Comic-Con and everyone to come pose with the Snoopy car. But, you had very young children just so crying and sad because they just watched as their half a day of Comic-Con kept going down.
No Comic-Con, no food, no bathroom.
It was, and then the next time the
That's
freeway
terrible. I'm
picked up,
glad I wasn't old enough to remember
everybody
it.
got off to the next exit, which was like a Denny's, and we all hung out there again
Yeah.
because everybody needed the bathroom. It was the longest trip to Comic-Con in history.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I can't even describe what. Well, you can watch the video. I really recommend it. It's quite interesting. And it was a food truck, like it was steak or something. So
It
the
was
fire,
a grocery store.
so the whole place just smelled like barbecue. So you're in traffic
Wow. So
smelling
this is
barbecue.
insane.
It was crazy.
The
it was so weird.
Camp Pendleton would not let anybody detour through
Nope.
there,
So
so
we
we
were
were stuck until they moved the burning truck off the freeway.
Yeah. Boy.
Good times.
Wow. Coming in at number 6 is Markiplier at the furry booth, which is one of my favorite stories of all time.
I think that was the last time you saw Mark.
Yeah, I have to get. There's a whole setup here. I was obsessed with Markiplier.
Which means that our kid has to be there.
I was
because
obsessed with him, and
what we
so
did.
I just so happened to be very lucky and go to Comic-Con every single year. And so first year he was at a booth. The same booth that was like, hey, come meet Grumpy Cat. It was that year, which makes it 2015.
Yeah.
2015 was the first time I met Markiplier.
Grumpy
I
Cat.
waited in line because, mind you, this was the first time I was meeting him, so I got the whole experience of waiting in line and buying the poster. And
Yep.
I met Markiplier. It was like a 5-second meeting. He signed my poster. He went nice flower crown. We took a selfie.
Oh, I
and that was
remember that.
it.
I have that picture.
That was
I have
it.
that picture too.
Because you got to keep the line moving.
Because he couldn't stop to talk to the kids.
He was very
So,
popular, whoever he was. I didn't know back
then
then.
we met him a second time, which was once again at another booth like that, but this
Yep.
one wasn't nearly as crowded. I think we caught him at a good time.
Yeah.
Because I talked to him for a couple of minutes. He went around the table, like, bent down to pose next to me because I was really tiny. And that was the second year that I met him. And then they came the third year that I met Markiplier, which was, I was old enough to start using, like, social media, like, really using it. So I was following him on Instagram, and he had posted, I'm at Comic-Con this year. I don't have a booth, so you have to just find me. And I went, we're finding this guy. We're finding him. So I sent us on this wild goose chase scavenger hunt to find him. We went to all these booths that he said he was at, and then we asked where he went
and
next.
then somebody else told us where he'd be next or where he's going.
And then finally we got to
the
a booth.
best tip. Someone
who
told
was
us
selling,
it was at his brother.
We got to a booth. Let me do this. This is my story. We got to a booth.
You were like
selling.
how old?
I'm 11 or 12 here.
Were you that old then?
Yes, I liked Markiplier for a really long time.
Okay.
Because I met him first when I was 9. So it was 9, 10, 11. I was 11. Because it was the year before the Stranger Things phenomenon.
You were 11?
Ha ha ha.
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't get into Stranger Things until I was 12 and I was so angry.
I remember
but
that.
this is before.
We had the huge birthday party. We were a
This
year
is
off.
before I was
from
obsessed with
11th
Stranger
birthday.
Things. This is when I was so obsessed with Markiplier. The manias come one at a time. So I'm in my Markiplier time here. So we get to the booth who's selling Markiplier comic books because he's supposed to be there signing comic books. And the guy was like, "Oh man, you just missed him." And he goes, "But if you really want to find him, his brother is a furry artist."
Yep.
What's the name of the comic that he writes, Austin?
Is a very popular
Very
furry
popular
comic.
furry
Yes.
comic.
Called
I don't
Two
remember.
Kinds.
Two Kinds.
I've read a little bit of it, and it is quite good.
So he was like,
He might be hanging out with his
Markiplier
brother.
might be hanging out with his brother, to be honest with you, because he doesn't have a booth. It might be like his home base. So we were like, let's go. So we go to this furry booth. And Austin's not quite explaining it right. These furries are furry girls with big boobs. Okay? So the poster is this big furry girl with big boobs.
They have very defined anatomy.
Defined anatomy. It's furry art for sure. And Markiplier's sitting there with his head down on his phone, because his brother's not at the booth. So he's sitting there, like, keeping the booth, but he doesn't want anyone to know that he's Markiplier. And
He's hoping no one will stop at the booth while he's there and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I walk up and I go, Markiplier, can we get a picture? And I don't think I've ever seen him so mortified before.
Should I show this to the camera?
Yeah, that's what
This is Google Images Force Result.
This is
from
what
the comic.
Markiplier's brother.
I'm gonna put this
does
in front
in
of
his
this.
free
We might
time.
get flagged for this. Are we gonna get flagged for this?
No.
Okay, this is Google Images Force Result. That's the comic.
So that's what was at the booth, and I was 11.
Why did it say you visited this page before?
So Markiplier was mortified out of his mind, but he was cool enough to not only take my picture, but he signed every single one of my comic
And
books.
didn't charge us for
No.
it.
Every single one.
Normally,
He signed them all.
Markiplier,
You have to pay,
it's a fee.
He just wanted you out.
I think he just wanted to do whatever it took to make sure I didn't. And in the picture, you can see it, like in the background, you can see
What
the furry.
table we were at.
It was just one of those moments where I was reminded that, like, some of my heroes are really cool. Because he could have just been like,
I'm not
Markiplier,
working.
I'm
Get
not
the
on
bricks.
today.
Yep.
Listen, this is not me today. I'm just here for fun. But he took the time to not only meet me, but talk to me
Yes.
and sign my comic books. Markiplier's the coolest guy. I still stand by that. He's awesome. I've met him 3 times now. I think he probably remembered me by the 3rd time
He
too.
did too.
But yeah, no, I loved that guy. Moving on, our next honorable mention is do you like superheroes? Which is the Lego guy.
Well, we were playing in the Lego area, which is very busy, crazy area.
Yeah,
That's
you have to understand,
free for all.
Legos are big
everywhere.
money at Comic-Con. They always have an exclusive that sells
Yes.
out instantly, and you can take a $30 Lego set and sell it for about $600 sometimes. And then the giveaway is Lego minifigures, and they're minifigures that are not going to be available either ever or for a long time.
And they don't want adults getting it. They don't want collectors just scalping them.
They want to
and
give them
flipping.
to kids,
They want
and they want to
kids
be
to have
played
them.
with.
So we were out in that area with the kids, looking all cute, and this guy comes out and he goes, "Your kids like Legos?" I'm like, "Yes." "Follow me." And he like took us to the side where a window opens and a hand comes out and says, "Lego for your kids." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
It was,
And
like
it was the limited edition, really expensive hard one.
It was like a drug deal.
And you give it to all the kids. I was like, "What just happened?"
Yeah.
But that was
I
a
have
great moment.
No memory of this.
That's
but
because your dad flipped
this
it. We made a
sounds
lot
like
of money.
the funniest thing. Like, imagine your kids at the Lego booth and some grown man just goes,
You guys didn't care for it at all.
"You like superheroes, kid?
Yeah.
Come here.
I'm
You
You like
wanna-
superheroes?"
What's
You
he
wanna-
talking about?
Get in the van.
Yeah,
It was
not
You want to help me
funny.
find my
Listen.
lost puppy?
But that's how we made Comic-Con happen
Do you
every
like
year for you
superheroes?
kids.
Number
With the little
5,
free
we're
stuff.
exactly halfway through the list now. Our number 5 moment, and this is a great one, the Burrito Story.
The Burrito Story.
Oh, yeah, I was
The
Yeah.
Burrito Story.
There's not much to tell. I
There
almost
is-
died the end.
I wasn't there. I missed the whole story. I
You were
was
in
in
the
the
bathroom.
restroom.
Yeah, Dad was
So
in
what's the
bathroom.
Burrito Story,
Well,
kids?
Mom was at, it was called the Omni Hotel. Now, the Omni Hotel has great clean bathrooms, so we always stop there
On the way
before
into
we go
con.
To use the bathroom.
Because
And we
the
got a
con-
breakfast
the act-
burrito.
Okay.
Well, no. You
Well,
just
okay,
why
is
we
it
got
more?
it.
Wait, hold on.
They were
Don't
just
jump
handing
ahead.
out
No.
burritos.
We're just
First
handing
of all,
out
I just want to
burritos.
say that the bathrooms inside the convention bad. So unless you want to get stuck,
Always go to the hotel.
You
One
want-
star would not
unless you
visit
want to get
again.
stuck in a
Yes.
stall waiting for Peter Mayhew to finish his business, which
Yes.
has happened. You just
True.
want to get the
Honorable
burrito.
mention.
Yeah, go to the Omni.
Okay.
Go to the Omni. So we went to the Omni, and was it KTLA?
Some
Okay,
news
San Diego.
stations
Yeah, whatever
specifically.
San Diego's local news station is.
I
think
love
it's,
news. And I love
is it
newscasters.
K1?
I don't remember.
Something like
It was
that.
a news
Anyways,
station.
it was a news station, and they were giving out free breakfast burritos because they were advertising the local businesses.
Yes.
For those of you that
Maybe
don't
they're
know,
live. I like to go meet
the
news
local
people.
businesses of San Diego, like over half their revenue is during Comic-Con week. They just see unprecedented traffic. So they were giving away free burritos to
Huge
advertise their restaurant.
burritos.
Massive burritos.
Yeah.
It's a good commercial for them.
Expensive burritos.
It's a
Right,
good
but they
commercial.
wanted you to open it up and eat it on camera and say, delicious.
Yeah.
So your
Mom-
mother did.
Yeah. Well, she ate a bite of the burrito, and she said, this is good, and then just stopped halfway and went, I'm dying. And then he ran to the bathroom.
I don't know what it was. I just choked on that burrito, but like legit choke. I like you. Sometimes you have a coughing spell or you choke when the
It
food
was
goes in the wrong
stuck.
way. No, it was. I was dying. I thought for sure paramedics were being called.
I came out of the
was dying
bathroom
at
and I said,
Comic-Con.
what happened? And the kid said, oh, Mom died.
It was as close to death as I've ever been.
She was like, the burrito almost killed her, but it didn't. And then we went on with our
And then we went
day.
to Comic-Con.
And
And
then
that's
we
how
went
we
to
started our
Comic-Con.
day.
It was the biggest choke at Comic-Con since Pixels.
Next on our honorable
The joke for
mentions
Austin.
list is the Mythbusters realistic Lego guy. Luna really wanted this to be included.
Yeah, we like to go to the Hilton, and if you go
Eat
up
the
the stairs,
burgers.
there's a little landing where you can hang out. Not anymore, they've closed it off. But for a few years, you could just go up there, use the bathroom, hang out for a minute, regroup, and then hit back to the con. And while we were there, the Mythbusters guy were there in the restroom, putting on this Lego costume. And it was on an episode of their show where they made what a Lego man would look like if he was made of flesh.
That
And-
lobby in the hotel was the best star secret ever. We would sit
No,
there.
that's the Marriott.
Oh, that's
This
the
is
other
the
one.
Hilton.
Oh, okay.
This
Nobody's
is the
at
one
the
by the
Hilton.
burgers.
It
This
was
is
burgers,
where
yeah.
you meet the Mythbusters.
The Marriott is where all the celebrities are.
Yes, that's what I thought you were.
All right, moving on. Number 4. This is an iconic Comic-Con moment when Thor walked by. It's kind of like self-explanatory. We were at a booth. We heard some screaming, so
Yes.
we stepped out of the booth to see what caused the screaming, and it was Chris Hemsworth.
It was Chris Hemsworth,
Beautiful man.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. Who else was Scarlett Johansson with him?
It was quite a
Might
few
have been.
ones.
I
walking
know
by.
It was most
I know
of the
it was
Avengers.
Chris Hemsworth,
Yeah.
and I know it was Mark Ruffalo, and I know it was Chris Hemsworth because the women there were fainting.
Yeah.
The women who worked the booths, they hired nothing but attractive women to work the booths, and even they were like fanning themselves like that man's so
literally,
good looking.
I filmed and women were just going like this.
It was Chris Hemsworth.
And even I, who
You
don't
ever
get
seen
taken in
Chris
very
Hemsworth
often,
in person?
when he's this close to you, I was like, "You're a beautiful man."
That
Like,
man
he
isn't
was just-
real.
It was very odd. Very odd how.
And then,
how amazing
not 5
he
minutes
was.
after that, most of the Justice League walked by us. Ben
Yeah.
Affleck, Gal
That-
Stand on the
Gadot,
Comic-Con
and
floor,
Jason
anybody
That
can
Momoa.
didn't
by
have
you.
nearly the reaction. I can't even explain. The reaction to Chris Hemsworth is one of my favorite. Everyone just went.
Yeah.
He-
Watching everyone's reactions is what's so
I
funny.
think that that's probably one of his favorite moments. I'm sure he remembers that.
I'm sure he does.
It's in
too.
my top 5 Comic Con moments.
So there we go. When Thor walked by. Next on our honorable mentions, you fought to get this in here. Broken toes.
Yes, I fought because, Dana, do you know how much walking there is involved in a day at Comic-Con? Try 5 days at Comic-Con all day long with 3 little kids and 2 broken toes. Yep, and I broke my toes before, but I broke 2 the night before we left chasing a cat out of my closet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You didn't want the cat in the closet, and then BAM!
2.
Broken toes.
And I'm talking broken. Not
And the
bruised,
doctor
not
said,
swollen.
nothing we can do.
They were so bad, and I just had to tape them up as tight as I can and get a tennis shoe on the best I could. But it was Advil every 3 hours. It was, I mean, I was just like, the pain level.
It was Comic-Con
Pain
becoming
level.
Comic-Cant.
To where eventually by the time I got back to the hotel room, I just couldn't even feel that foot. It was the craziest.
Now, you say hotel room. There were 2 years
That was
we
a
had
hotel
a
night.
full hotel
Thank God.
stay, but there were many Comic-Cons.
We drove it.
We drove
Back and forth
back
every
and forth
night.
all 5 days.
We'd get home at midnight. We would sleep. Let the kids would get a good 4 or 5 hours. We'd maybe get a couple because I had to get up and repack clothes, repack snacks, repack lunches for the cooler, redo
Those
everything.
stupid roll-ups.
And we'd leave at like 5 or 6 a.m. to get back there by 8 a.m. to do it another day. And we did it all 5 days in a row. Many, many years.
We physically couldn't
Many
do it
years.
anymore if we wanted to.
No,
we
those
would have
days
to
are
get a
over.
hotel room.
We go one day now, and we're like,
Well,
oh, babe, let's go home.
not
and get
to
Like-
detour, but we had a hotel room the most recent year that I went, my last big like
2019.
hurrah at Comic-Con, and that was not any better than if we had just
drove
gone.
home. I don't know.
That was like stepping into a really terrible movie. Everyone there was like a movie stereotype. There was the guy smoking, my favorite, there was a guy smoking weed, there was a homeless guy. My favorite was, in order to get to our room, we had to cross through this lady who was smoking a cigarette and writing poetry.
Oh, yeah.
She was like writing poetry in this
Her
song
balcony.
notebook, and she had
Yeah.
she like smeared eyeliner, and she was like cut a cigarette in like her shaking hand, and she was writing this. I was like, we just passed by the main character in some sort of movie.
Just like, kid walks by,
Yeah.
wearing costume.
Like I want
Comic-Con
to
in
know where
town.
she is. It's been years now. I hope she's okay.
Oh.
But I still think of her.
She's
I don't think
dead.
she's alive.
Yeah. Now we're in our top 3.
Top 3.
Top 3. Top 3. Coming in at number 3, Luna gets a dress.
This is huge. Yep, he was 17. The summer he was 17, his senior year of high school.
How it works at Comic-Con is we get a lot of free stuff. The majority of it is to flip because that's how we pay for the trip.
Yep.
But the kids were able to get either one big thing each day or a couple of small things, depending on what it was.
I usually had a budget of $50 to $60, but I made that look like $1,000. I stretched it, and I was very creative.
So the year we went, Luna hemmed and hawed about what to get, and it became this contentious thing like, just pick a souvenir. Look, there's everything in the world is here for sale at Comic-Con. And we were at the We Love Fine booth when they had 2 booths. They were big time. And there was a guy working the booth.
This adorable, sweet gay man was working the booth, and he was just like, "Love, what do you want?" Because he's been at the table forever, talking to me, talking to his dad, going back and forth, trying to.
Now we got permission to tell this story.
Yes, we asked Luna.
Luna finally said, "I want a dress."
It was his coming out.
It was a
story.
big deal for Luna to ask, but for us, it was like, "Okay, you want a dress? Which one do you want?
Yeah, I'm like, could you just send
Let's
that
buy
out?
one." Luna seemed to think we were going to get upset about the dress purchase, and instead it just was another day.
I have to admit that it was very early. I mean, it wasn't as popular or as common as kids come out now. It's normalized.
Normalized is the better
So
term,
I really didn't even see the whole transgender. I thought he was telling me he was gay. I thought gay guys like to wear dresses. Every gay guy that I ran with would always put on my clothes, especially when we went out to clubs. That was their thing. But they were gay men. They were not transgender women. So I did not know what was happening that day. I really didn't.
It all came to a head at the table.
I knew that at your 4th Barbie birthday party. This is not new. Buy the dress. Let's go.
It all came to a head at the table because Luna just wouldn't make the decision, the call.
She was
and
scared.
I said, "You have to just tell me what you want." And Luna looked at me and said, "I want a dress." And I said, "Okay, we'll buy you the dress." And we got into a hug, and then we looked over, and the guy working the booth
was bawling. Oh my God.
He was like, "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen."
I can't believe I just witnessed this. This is what he said. He said, "This is my best Comic-Con moment."
About that. I bet he
that is
still
for sure
thinks about
on the top
that.
And
of
you know
his
what?
list.
Didn't give us a discount.
I know. God,
What was
Luna
the dress,
lived in that
Austin?
dress.
It
That-
was
that blue.
Jade's
Homestuck,
dress.
The Homestuck,
It was,
yeah.
If you know Homestuck, someone out there knows it was Jade's dress.
Yeah. So
How
that was
funny
a
is
very
that?
big moment. Definitely in the top 3. And we all know Luna
Let me
now.
throw in an honorable mention here because we're talking about clothing. My honorable mention is we see some amazing things at Comic-Con. We see amazing people. We see movie props from movies we've loved, movies that haven't come out. The year we saw Thor's throne, and we didn't even know what it was. This big, giant gold throne from Asgard. I've seen all kinds of stuff, but only one. I mean, I've even sat in the DeLorean from Part 3, the actual car from Back to the Future 3, and we look happy doing that. But there's one picture I have somewhere of me crying because standing there, not in a case, was Willy Wonka's coat,
He was crying.
suit, and hat
I
from
remember this.
Yes.
with Gene
I
Wilder.
remember this. The
Yes,
only time I've
Hollywood
seen him
Profiles
cry.
had it on display.
Yeah.
And your dad was in tears. I'm like, it's a jacket.
Like, I'm never going to
It was
own it.
Willy
I get it.
Wonka's.
But to be
Yeah.
close to, I mean, it's like going to Smithsonian for me. Something that tangible from a movie that means so
But that's
much
a good
to
example,
me.
like,
That's why you
that's
go to
what we
Comic-Con.
gave our kids.
Yeah.
Their entire childhood is these moments.
I thought you
So-
were leading up to the T-shirt wall. I thought you were making a big joke, but that was a genuine.
No,
wall.
not screw the T-shirt wall.
T-shirt wall. Worst part of
Screw the
Comic-Con.
T-shirt wall and screw the kid who lives in the wall of Episode 1 figures. And Austin knows the guy I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
He lives in a little alcove that they build around him in the booth.
Or the stuffed animal guy.
They're all zip-tied.
Yes.
They look
Yeah.
all tortured.
You see the same vendors for like
Yeah.
15 years. The same vendors. Like Mr. Toast, we got to know.
Oh my God, Mr. Toast isn't anywhere on this list. I love
the
Mr.
Ugly
Mr.
Dolls.
Toast,
before
if you're
Ugly
out
Dolls
there.
was known by
Mr. Toast, if you're out
anybody.
there. They were getting a movie. What happened to their movie?
I don't know.
There was the year
You
that
bought one every day, all 5 days.
Mr.
You bought
Toast
Ugly
is
Doll.
awesome.
there was the
all
year
the
that
Mr. Toast
Film
guys.
Threat was there, and I bought Red, the movie, directed by Chris
Oh,
Gore.
I remember he walked by us. I have a picture of him walking by on the floor. And I'm like, that's the guy from G4. That's Chris Gore.
Speaking of which, that was our next honorable mention.
Oh, well, there you go.
Our next honorable mention is literally just the words Chris Gore.
Chris Gore is one of Jeff's
Chris
best
Gore.
friends now. And
They
the
have a
Tuckers
bromance.
love him. Yeah, they totally have a bromance.
They have a
And
bromance.
he's like a dear friend to us. It's just really weird the things that come in and out of your life.
Yeah.
Chris Gore's
But
a,
Chris
like a
was
funny
meant-
little guy.
he
But
was
not little
meant
because
to
he's
be
kind
part
of
of our
tall.
life.
But
We followed him for so long.
I remember loving DV Tuesday on Attack of the Show.
Yeah, DV Tuesday.
I almost
and-
separate them. Like, I forget that guy is Chris Gore that we know now. Like, that's just weird to me. You know what I mean?
He's one of the coolest guys I
He
know,
is.
if not the coolest guy I know.
Chris Gore. We
We-
love
and-
you, Chris Gore.
You are fantastic on Friday Night Tights.
All right, we're at number
We're
two.
we're at number two on our top 10 Comic-Con
Let's just say it this way. Don't say the first name. We'll say your mother waited overnight at Comic-Con
Let me tell the
for
story.
the
Oh, yeah.
Twilight
Twilight
panel.
panel.
So I was a big Twilight fan, and I'm not denying it to this day. I know a lot of women that have been like, no, I didn't like that. No, those books are the most amazing books in the world. The first movie, like, women finally had their fandom. Women finally had their Comic-Con moment. We got something. We got to be part of something. You're Team Edward. You're Team Jacob. You're this, you're that. You're into the vampires. You have outfits. You have costumes. Me and my friend Teresa, we went in the Twilight baseball uniforms to Comic-Con one year. But that year, we stood in line for Hall H, which is where all the big releases get previewed and the stars show up to talk about their movie. Like, for a few minutes, every movie, you can see every star. And Twilight, the full Twilight cast was going to be there. All you had to do was stand in line overnight. How hard can that be? Literally on the ocean in San Diego
Well, the thing
in the
is
middle of the night.
Everybody who does that plans ahead and brings
We
blankets, a tent, food.
Beds.
You guys
The
just
people
said,
next to us had beds.
yeah, you and
air
Teresa just said,
chairs.
we're sitting here all night.
We're just going to stand here so we can get in to see Twilight. So around 10 p.m., it started getting really uncomfortable and really cold. Like, I was like, I don't know if we can do this. But, your adrenaline kicks in. You're meeting the other fans around you. You're all talking Twilight. It's so much fun.
And this is before the Hall H line stuff used to happen. And what I mean by that is, after Twilight began the overnight lining, because they never lined up all night before. Now if you do that, the celebrities come out and bring pizza.
Oh, yeah, no,
and it's
this
all
was
part of their
nothing
social
like
media.
that.
There was none of that.
So Teresa,
This was the year
put
somebody
in her
died.
phone where Mom did. Yeah, she put in her phone where a clothes store was. She found it was either a CVS or a Walgreens right down there somewhere, walking distance. So she took off on a mission. She came back around midnight, and she had like California souvenir beach towels and hats and whatever we could do to put on us. We looked like the silliest two tourists you would have ever seen in their life. Everyone else was decked out in like, you know,
They
winter
were prepared.
clothes, yeah, blankets.
You
from
thought it was
home.
going to be a lark down by the ocean.
We have our little California towel around us, but we made it. And the next morning, Jeff and the kids showed up because everybody was sneaking in their family members into the line. As long as somebody was with your party, you brought everyone else. He was at a nice hotel with the kids.
Oh, it was rough.
So they showed up like 40 minutes before the doors opened and kids went in with me, no issues at all.
I didn't go in.
So we got in there. We had amazing seats. You know, it started. We got to see all the Twilight people.
You got to see a preview of Tron.
All kinds of movie previews. But then I thought I was in line for Twilight.
The lights went out.
The highlight of my life. But then, I swear, there was a glow. Someone was saying something over this. And I saw the most beautiful human that's ever walked the earth. Seriously, God himself, Johnny Depp. I was like, that's freaking Johnny Depp. And if you've never met Johnny Depp or saw him in person, I can't describe it. It's an experience you truly have to understand what I'm feeling. But he glowed and the room stopped and it was Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. Oh.
Now, since Stranger Things, I've gone back many years hoping that Winona Ryder's going to show up, but she's never been to Comic-Con.
I've
But
never
Johnny
had a
Depp
moment.
has.
I've never had a moment like
I wanna
that
thank
again.
Rachel took her for
And I
waiting
was
in
the
line for me all night.
hugest Twilight fan in the world, and I was like, Twilight, who? Oh my God! Like I wasn't sleeping on
But
the
is he
street for
still
this.
better than Robert Pattinson?
He is my most
Batman
favorite.
himself?
He is my most
It's
favorite
Johnny Depp,
human
man. I will
being
say.
in the world
Johnny Depp is a
outside
really
of my
good
husband.
guy.
He's amazing, and this is before all the hype. Like I've loved him forever. Oh, from 21 Jump Street. I'm that mom. So it was a moment that I will never forget, and it is my #1 Comic-Con moment.
But it's not our #1, which we will get to right after this last honorable mention.
Which is Lady Throws Shoe.
Lady Throws Shoe!
It's going to be silly to them, but in our family, this is a
Lady Throws
joke
Shoe.
that is brought up all the time.
We
Well,
were-
Luna said, what do you want to be part of for this episode? Since you're not here, we want to give you some stories. You put the lady in the shoe, right? I said, oh my God.
Yeah, Luna said Lady in the Shoe, Kevin Smith running us over, and the Stranger Things VHS tapes.
Yes.
Those were
So-
Luna's input.
Sunday morning when you go to Comic-Con, we get there early because the traffic's not bad. And everybody Saturday night who stayed in the area partied it up. The parties go all night. We've never been to one because we're not that kind of
Well,
family.
we had little kids.
We saw a lady doing the walk of shame down the main boulevard coming out of Comic-Con.
She was
We don't know what party she was at or where she had been, but she had not gone home for the night. She was
No.
in her cocktail
Outfit,
dress,
yep.
her high heels,
Yep.
and her mascara was running down her
Scared.
face.
She was just like,
And she was in a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a tit, but a flit? No.
I'm sure she looked great about 12
She was
hours
having a
before
tiff.
that.
And her shoe broke.
Yes.
So she tried to cobble it together and then got so mad, ended up throwing both shoes in the trash and walking by us. The word is snit. She was walked by us in a snit. She threw the shoes in the trash and just stormed by us, and the kids never forgot
They
that
were
lady.
laughing so hard at the shoes in the trash can, lady. I told you it mean nothing to you, but to our family,
Lady Throws Shoe.
that was a moment.
Lady Throws
Lady
Shoe.
throws shoe.
And now, our #1 top Comic-Con moment.
The #1
of all
comic moment
time.
is, are you ready? Hilton Burgers. It's so good we
Listen,
put it twice.
If it was my list, I would have.
Johnny Depp would be #1. I'm sorry.
Not
But all right, I guess yours is good too.
Our #1 is meeting Stanley.
Now, you can meet Stanley at Comic-Con
Yeah.
when he was alive a bunch of ways. He signs at tables all day.
We
you
met
can
him
buy
that way.
special tickets.
Yep.
But this was special because it was the
special.
end of the night, Saturday night at Comic-Con. We were just hanging out for traffic to break. It was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Yep.
and we were at the Marriott, in the far end of the Marriott where the bank of elevators are. The kids were in their pajamas. They were running around like wild Indians.
For the car ride home, so I put them in their pajamas because they're going to fall asleep.
And we looked over, and there was Stan Lee with 2 big bodyguards. His handlers. And people were walking up, and they were like, Mr. Lee needs to go to bed.
Back up.
He's had a full day. Thank you. He loves you, but he's got to go. And when the bodyguards turned and saw the kids, bodyguard said, Mr. Lee,
we have children.
You need to stop and talk to these kids.
Oh, he didn't even have to tell him that. As soon as he saw the kids, he said, I just need a few minutes.
And Stanley came over and talked to the kids and took a picture with them.
Yeah, in their pajamas. It's
that's
our
the
favorite
closest
picture.
You guys will ever get to meeting Walt Disney.
With their pajamas
and
on.
He's no longer with us, so it's priceless.
Story. It was so cute the way that photo looked.
We met him a second time, not
after that. He was in bad shape by then. He was still pretty.
We waited in
line himself in there.
7 hours.
We did for that one.
Him. And then when we got to him, he looked.
He looked pretty tired. But this was top of his game, Stan Lee.
It was a moment.
The MCU had just started, or was about to start.
Yeah, it was a great moment. It was just priceless.
And that's our top 10 Comic-Con moments.
I have a list.
So we were making this list, right, and getting ideas for a list and making this great list, and Austin starts getting very angry, and he's like, I had a different Comic-Con than
It should be our own Comic-Con list.
My Comic-Con! Okay. So I gave Austin paper and told him I gave him 5 slots to write his 5 list, and he wrote way more than 5.
Okay, I haven't spoke much this episode, so let me just say that a lot of these events are great, but you were a little kid during the Comic-Con years.
Can I go get Noni's bananas before it's past her bedtime?
I was a teenager, and I was off on my own in many of these conventions. So you talk about events like meeting Chris Hemsworth, meeting Markiplier, and the Critical Role guys. I was not there for any of that.
Yes, you were. First of all, you were there when I met Markiplier.
We didn't even mention meeting we missed a story, the big one.
Luna didn't mention it, so it wasn't a big deal.
Luna didn't want it in it.
How about that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Where we walked around the booth for an hour.
Yeah, Luna didn't consider that a big memory. Really fast, because now they're going to want to know what it is. Luna was obsessed for a long time. Luna was obsessed with this D&D podcast called My Brother, and Me. And when they heard that they were going to be at Comic-Con, she really wanted to go to the booth. And so we went to the booth. And then because there was like 100 other teenagers who all wanted to see My Brother,
but Comic-Con was not aware of who these people were and how big they were.
Well, they didn't have a permit for that kind of meet and greet.
Line. Yeah. So Comic-Con said, we cannot have a line for these people. This is a no-stop table. It has to continue moving. So that's what we did. We're like, well, what if we just walk this circle? Because they were kind of in a corner where there was like 4 tables in a row, and then you could circle back. He's like, as long as you continue to move, I'm okay with that. So there'd be like 3 or 4 people go up to the table, but once it's full, you can't stop. So they would move out, and then the line would walk. It was kind of like playing music chair. So when you got your turn at the table, and we did it for an hour to finally get our turn at the table, because Luna wanted to meet them, and when my kids want to meet someone, we meet them.
So then we met My Brother, and Me after walking for an hour.
No.
Okay,
that was the story.
So my list. The first thing I put on my list was the drive. The drive to Comic-Con is very memorable. You get to see the beautiful San Diego coastline.
Bring it
Dad, what do you remember from the Comic-Con drive? What are some notable things?
The giant breasts.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
The boobs.
Yeah, which by the way, they were gonna destroy those, but they're gonna keep them now. So how about that? And then the Toys R Us. There was a really great Toys R Us.
Yeah, there was a great Toys R Us.
Some years I wouldn't buy anything, and I'd wait for that Toys R Us because we do very well there. Okay, next thing on my list is Sunday. Sunday has always been my favorite day of Comic-Con. It's the most relaxed day of Comic-Con. At least it used to be. I liked Comic-Con in like 2006, 2007. The 2010s I kind of see as the decline of the event. It just got too busy, too mainstream, too big. I mean, I've kind of divorced from it, so to speak. I like the smaller cons more. I think WonderCon's actually a better experience. Okay, up next, Nintendo. This was probably one of the best things to come out of Comic-Con in the 2010s. Nintendo used to have a booth that was a nightmare. You couldn't get in it. You couldn't play any games. Well, somewhere along the line, Nintendo said, we're out. So they left Comic-Con, and if you remember, Dad, they would buy a sign on the sales floor. They would literally have a sign up with a guy in a suit standing there, and the sign just says, Nintendo is next door. So if you went to the Marriott Hotel next door, that would be the Nintendo zone, and it would be all Nintendo, all fans, meetups.
God, I remember this.
And I used to, back when the Nintendo DS was the big thing, there was this really cool feature called Street Passing.
I remember
where
this too.
if you had a DS and you walked by someone with a DS, you would trade data and send little messages
and
to
then
each
your
other.
character would go and meet the other person's character.
Now, this was fun out in public. Maybe you're out in Walmart and you meet someone at Walmart that has a DS.
But
at
at Comic-Con,
Comic-Con, you would get about 10,000 people in here. I'm not even joking. It was an insane amount of people. And
we had hundreds of people on our phone.
We did.
On our
and
DSs.
everyone at Comic-Con would be trading fun little messages.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I got to trade with some of the Nintendo executives. That was fun.
Yeah, and
yes, I'll explain that
Yeah.
one. And Nintendo themselves would even do special ones. Like if you went to the lounge, you could get Reggie or
Mario.
Iwata or
I got Mario.
Special people.
You would street pass with Mario.
So you get special unlocks for this event. It was just a lot of fun. But regarding Street Pass, my favorite moment is meeting Pendleton Ward, the creator of Adventure Time. He posted that he was out on the sales floor and he was just looking to meet fans. So I got to meet Pendleton Ward, and I also got to meet the lady that plays Tree Trunks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Polly Lou Livingston. I don't know why I know her full name, but Dad, I'm telling you a great Comic-Con story in here. Okay.
They're feeding,
no feeding the lizard.
Raspberries. But
yeah, this is one of my favorite. I got to meet the voice of Tree Trunks and Pendleton Ward at once. Do you remember this, Dad?
Yeah, Pendleton Ward ended up in your your
Nintendo DS.
Nintendo DS town.
Yeah, and that was one of the fun things getting back home from Comic-Con was that you get to spend a couple of days just going through your Nintendo DS and just seeing all the heartfelt Comic-Con messages that people would leave you. It really felt special, and it's kind of a shame they don't have that with smartphones. I wish that was a thing. It was only
was really
special time before the cell phone took off when everyone had a DS. You know, you still had to go for that brain age score. Remember that?
This is detour really fast.
Okay.
The part from the Nintendo thing at the Marriott that I remember was that you had these cards and you had to get the stickers or punch holes or something when you played every game, and then when you played every game you got a prize. But they only allowed certain people in and out of the club at like one time. So it would just be me, you, and Luna would rotate sitting outside at tables at the Marriott, and then we would switch in to go in and then back out. And one time when we were sitting there, we saw a giant blimp.
Yeah, there was one time where I came in and there were fire marshals and everyone was leaving, and I'm like, what's going on? And the fire marshal was like, this is San Diego Police Department. Nintendo Lounge is a public hazard. There's too many people. We need to clear the whole building. Some of my favorite memories from the Nintendo Lounge, I have two great ones. When Super Smash Bros. Was coming out, they were holding a contest where if you found the Nintendo of America, like, president top guy, not Reggie, but the other guy, he would give you a ticket to play Super Smash Bros. So I found him on the cafe level by the Starbucks, and I said, you're the Nintendo guy! And he says, you're the one to find me. He gave me a golden Super Smash Bros. Ball. It was just a laminated golden Smash ball, and said, take this downstairs, and you get to play a 2-minute demo of the game before anyone else. Well, guess what? I don't care about playing a 2-minute demo. I took the Smash Ball and ran, and I have it framed in my bedroom. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm never giving it back, Nintendo. It's mine. Another great one was the Nintendo costume contest. I entered as the Splatoon agent. I think this is like the best costume I ever did. It was amazing.
This is before Splatoon got really big.
Yeah.
Like insanely big that you could buy a costume. He made it himself.
With the full tentacle head.
He made the tentacle
with the
head.
big flashing earpieces
He did the
and the vest,
eyeliner
the
on
eye
his...
paint. It was kind of an awesome costume. And I won the contest. And they probably picked me to win. I remember I was at the booth and a lady came up, because it was a digital one where they didn't host. It wasn't like everyone lined up and they picked someone. You posted a photo of yourself in front of a sign at the Nintendo Lounge, and you posted it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they were gonna pick someone. You said to stick around the lounge, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like, I remember thinking, like, I'm gonna give it 10 minutes and then I'm out. With this very nice old lady, she taps on my shoulder and I'm like, hello? And she goes, hello, are you this guy on Twitter? I'm like, yeah, can't you see my giant squid costume I'm wearing? And she's like, come with me, I have very special news for you. I'm like, what's happening? And she goes,
get in the van.
She goes, you won the costume contest. Would you like your prize?
Why does everybody have that creepy voice?
Yeah, and I'm like, what? I'm thinking, what am I gonna get? I'm like, well, I'm probably gonna get like some sort of laminated Splatoon thing, like the Smash Ball. No, she gave me the giant Splatoon toy gun by Jack Specific before it came out. And by the way, that toy was impossible to find at retail. Like, I never saw that
Is it in a
thing
box
shipped.
somewhere?
I still have it, yes. I kept it. So I completed my costume. Like, that lady must have known, like, what I love about that costume contest was she picked me, which is great.
Uh-huh.
I had a homemade outfit. Everyone else just kind of bought theirs. Well, I spent months making mine.
Yeah.
And she knew the character. She said, look, the prize is the Splatoon gun. I have to give it to the Splatoon character.
And even more than that, you put in effort and you really cared about it.
Yeah.
And you stuck around, too.
By the way, I entered the Splatoon competition, and I thought that's how I was going to win the gun, because I had seen that the toy gun was the prize for winning the game competition. I didn't know it was the prize for that. So, it was me and 2 other adults up against a bunch of 3-year-olds. And those 3-year-olds destroyed us. They were hardcore. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Another great memory is the Sonic the Hedgehog Crush 40 concert. I didn't even know about that till I got to the Sonic booth, and I was talking to the Sega people, and they're like...
This is when the guy was like, hey, nice Antoine button, right?
Yeah, he saw my
I know
button.
the story.
I had a button of Antoine from
we
the
had
Sonic
a button
TV
maker
show.
for a little bit, where we
Yeah.
would make our own buttons, and no one makes Antoine merch because everyone sucks.
So I made like the most obscure Sonic character ever, and the guy at the booth knew who it was.
Yeah.
And he said, maybe you could get in upstairs to the console. And I'm like, I'll take you up on that. So he did. He let me into the consort. Me and Luna both went, and it was fantastic. They played all the Sonic hits. They even played Tails theme.
I remember the
cried.
Tails theme
I cried when they played Tails
conversation,
theme.
yeah.
And finally, for my number 1, I picked Meeting JonTron. The
What a
YouTuber
weird
JonTron.
take. JonTron's like one of those YouTubers that everyone knows who JonTron is because his face is everywhere. But if you ask them if his name is JonTron, they're like,
Is he the guy that yells about Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. He was kind of bigger among my crowd.
he
Like,
yells
he's an
about
old- yeah.
everything.
He-
JonTron gets angry.
He started out as the other Game Grump. People who watch the Game Grumps might not know, but like Penn and Teller, he wasn't the first Game Grump. There were Game Grumps before the Game Grumps you knew now, and JonTron was one of those. He played video games and talked about it. He went viral with his Star Fox video. I think I was like 10 when I watched that and thought it was the funniest thing ever. But he's actually stayed pretty relevant.
He's still here.
His new commentary videos, which aren't about video games, he talks about Gwyneth Paltrow and Flex Tape. They're really funny. They're top-notch comedy. And I've just always appreciated JonTron. I've never been a diehard JonTron guy. The reason this one sticks out so much to me is me and Luna were sitting at the Petco Park. Oh my god, Dad, do you remember what that was called? It was like a Dungeons and
Game
Dragons
lounge or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, anyways, so we're sitting at this lounge. I think Luna was playing with dice. And Luna just goes, JonTron! And he points, and it's JonTron. And I'm like, we have to go after him. So JonTron's like running. He's like Felicia Day. He's in a hurry. And I'm like, well, we don't want to bother this guy.
Poor
just
JonTron.
I don't want to. And Luna's like, no, it's JonTron. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll be the one to break the ice with JonTron. What do I have to lose? It's JonTron, right? Dude gets angry about everything.
Yeah.
So I went up to JonTron and I'm like, oh, Mr. JonTron, please. And JonTron goes, oh my goodness, look at these fans. He was such a nice dude. And his guard was like, Mr. JonTron, you have to be to the booth. And JonTron's like, no. He's like, I want to see these fans. And we're going to be a little late because I like my fans. So he took a photo with us and he talked for like 5 minutes with us about the show. And it was just so wonderful. He was just such a cool guy. And it's so funny because if you watch JonTron, you know
he doesn't seem like that.
He's like a rude Brooklyn, New Yorker.
He yells.
Yeah, he's very angry. He's like, I'm walking here. You know, that's JonTron.
Yeah.
He's such an angry New Yorker.
He's so what you would not expect to be such a nice guy.
Yeah, and to see in real life go, oh my god, fans, I love you all so much. Let's take a photo. The fans are what keep the show going. I don't care if I'm late to the panel. I just want to see my fans. I'm like, this guy's so unbelievably genuine.
Nice.
So that's my number 1. Not because I love JonTron, but because of that. I skipped a couple to time. Do we have time to waste?
Well, they're not here, so...
Okay, so I put OSM. That stands for the Outer Spaceman. That was a toy line I collected.
Oh my god, I remember this.
Yeah, do you remember the Outer Spaceman?
Who could forget the Outer Spaceman?
Yeah, so
You were obsessed with them for years.
it was a cool toy line, and it was like an independent, unique. You could only buy them at Comic-Con, so...
Is that your whole list?
Shopping and collecting. Yeah, that's my list of Comic-Con. Good times.
That's our Comic-Con list of top 10, which turned into a top 40. So thanks for tuning in, and
Oh my god.
Wow.
you have lost the game,
The Squid
and now you will pay the price. I am like E.T. blinking lights. And then Austin goes, pew.
Oh.
Ryder goes, pew. And you will go pew.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?